Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the morning session of the third day on data analysis using SPSS being conducted by Department of Management Studies, Mahatma Gandhi University in collaboration with Atal Academy. Today, guest speaker is GN Satish Kumar sir. He would be speaking on the parametric test and non-parametric test in the afternoon session. Before I hand over the session to the GN Satish Kumar sir, I would like to give a brief introduction about sir. Currently, he is working as a data analyst for SR Software Solutions at Hyderabad. He is also associated with academic field, having worked as a head of the MBA department of Aurora PG College at Hyderabad. He has 19 years of teaching experience. Satish Kumar sir has conducted various FTP and workshops for faculty members, students, and research scholars. Sir has published more than 25 management articles in national and international journals. He has participated and presented research papers in various national and international conferences. Sir expert in statistical package like IBM SPSS, SPSS Amos, Smart PLS, Verb PLS, or language, Python, database, Oracle. And he has the vast experience of analyzing the data for more than 200 research scholars across the spectrum. Hope all the participants have a good learning. Thank you.
Satish Kumar sir, we welcome you to the
Sir.
session.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just a moment. Can you see the screen?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Will allow. Just a moment.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, just a moment.
Yeah.
It's not allowing to share the screen. Yeah, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hello, good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, my name is GN Satish Kumar, and today's session I'm going to cover these topics. I have seen in the earlier session, Madam was covering till moderation mediation. It's a very high-end subject Madam has discussed, but my discussion is restricted to these topics. Like we will be discussing about types of data, measurement types. We'll be discussing about data distributions, okay, and normality test. Generally, I'll be focusing on normality, data normality. After data normality, we will be discussing about parametric and non-parametric. And in parametric, we will be discussing about one sample t-test, two independent sample t-test, data homogeneity, how to check that homogeneity, because for paid we require. And after that, we'll discuss about paid sample t-test, one way, ANOVA. And the next session, we'll discuss about non-parametric tests like McNemar test, chi-square test, Mann-Whitney U test, Wilcoxon, and Kruskal-Wallis test. And probably tomorrow sessions, we will be discussing about factor analysis, reliability test, and concepts of validity of data and multicollinearity test. If time permits, I will even discuss about other type of CFA also. This factor analysis, we call it as EFA, exploratory factor analysis. If time permits, we'll discuss how to do CFA, but CFA is not possible in SPSS. Is it okay? So let us start. Now, in the last day, I have shared this file called as a grades.sav. Is it okay? Can you follow me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir, we are able to follow you.
Yeah. So I'm going to take some examples and discuss about these data. Generally, let me say some points before we start. I did more than 200 PhD data analysis for people from both from country and outside the country also, for foreign universities also. Now, what is basically required is whenever the data is collected, the first thing what we need to identify is two important things. The first one is a data type. Next one is a measurement type. Many people have doubt when they ask me, will you help me in doing data analysis? I ask them to send the data in Excel. Now they ask in what format? Means in Excel also many people around 50, more than 50, say 60% people have doubt in even entering data also. I mean, we need to even help them how to enter the data in Excel, because many people don't have SPS. If they have SPS also, they say, no, we will enter in Excel only and email you. You please check and do the analysis in SPSS. Now, the first thing what we say to the scholars is enter data only in number forms. If you see this data here, everything should be numbers only, except the coding, what you call as the respondent code here. Here it is also entered number. Generally, we enter alphanumeric like R001 we enter. But all the data, whatever data is available in SPSS, the total data need to be entered in only number format. What happens if you enter in alphanumeric like other characters? What is the problem? Can anyone say? Hello?
Analysis is not possible. SPS will not read the alphabets.
Yeah. The problem is SPSS will identify lowercase and uppercase separately. What I have observed is people nowadays, due to this COVID, they are taking online. And people, when they enter text, for example, they enter for gender. Some people enter male, capital M-A-L-E, and some people enter small M-A-L-E. So there is a difference for the system between capital M-A-L-E and the small M-A-L-E. So instead of doing that, if you enter male as 1, female as 2, it is easy. I'm saying a very small example. If they go on collecting data, for example, 100 variables, and it is really a problem to segregate the data in the initial stage only. So I always ask them only enter data as numerics. Never in the total Excel sheet we are going to see any sort of other variables. For example, I have a case study. Just I'll show you Excel data we are opening. So the data should look like this, except for this code where we enter R001, this number, everything should be in numerical format only. This is the first thing which we are going to explain them. And when they have dichotomous, generally they enter 1 as yes and 2 means no means 2 they enter. But we suggest them no should be entered as 0. Dichotomous means they have multiple option, multiple response analysis type of questions. They go on ticking. Whether they tick, it should be entered as 1. If they don't tick, it should be entered as 0. So this is the first precaution what they need to take. Only numerical data need to be seen. And on the top, coding should be done like this. Means these columns are all respondent names. That is what is the variables you are collecting. And it should be coded in this form. When it is coded in this form only, then only it is very easy to get that Excel imported to SPSS. If not, what will happen is the system in the variable view, you will be having a problem in doing the modifications. I'm saying general, what is the problem, what we face when we have the data from the respondents. Is it fine? And Next important thing is coming to the data types. I already said except the respondent name or the like student ID in this case, this is string. Remaining all should be numeric only. There is no other strings we are going to use. SPSS gives a lot of other options they are giving, but we generally take 99%, we take only as a numeric. And after this, the important column in SPSS, what need to be concentrated is measurement type. I think in my earlier videos, the madam I have discussed all these things. I have not seen, but let me just focus on this. There are 3 types of measurement types will be there. First one is nominal, ordinal, and scale data. Data like gender need to be entered as nominal data. Means nominal data is also called as categorical data. Categories like male, female, designations, all these things come under categorical data. And second important measurement type is ordinal. Ordinal where we have order. Like for example, I'm taking here you can see grades. A grade, B grade, and C grade. These 3 grades we are taking. This grade is ordinal. But is specialization ordinal? No, specialization is not ordinal because it is categorical, like marketing, finance, and HR. We don't have anything to say that which is a higher one and which is lower one. So we don't need to enter any ordinal data here. We'll enter it as a nominal data. And gender is a nominal data. And all other data, whatever you have numbers, these are scale data. Scale data are also called as a continuous data. But in SPSS we call as nominal data, ordinal data, scale data. Scale is called as continuous data in general. Nominal data we call it as categorical data, but here we call it as a categorical data. Now Likert scale can be entered as ordinal data or scale data. Hello?
Scale data.
Likert scale.
Ordinal data.
Likert scale.
Ordinal.
Likert scale should be entered as ordinal data only. It is not scale data. Scale data is a range. For example, GPS score. If you see GPS score, for example, here, this is a scale data. Because you don't have any fixed number. It is a between like 1 to 5. I think the number they have given is still 5. This is a scale data. Okay, ordinal data will have fixed numbers. We don't have 1.1, 2.1. In that way, we don't have. Is it okay? Like marks also. If you see this marks, the student can get from 1 to 10. Any number he can get. But you can see even 0 also. Some people got even 0 marks also. These all are scale data. But
Sir, in the previous session, I had asked the same question about Likert scale. And I was advised that it is scale and not ordinal.
No. Like Likert scale is a ordinal data. It's an order because you are going to take from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Strongly agree to strongly disagree. It is an order. It is an order.
Okay.
And this generally my way of discussion will not be fixed to one topic. Generally respondents ask this question when you enter Likert scale. Now should I enter one as strongly disagree or strongly agree should be 1? What is correct one? You got what I'm saying?
It should be from disagree to agreeable point. Like one being the strongly disagree and the last one being the strongly agree.
Yeah. Because this is a question which generally respondent that the scholars ask me. What I generally say to them is, in your questionnaire, if your statement which you are making for Likert scale is positive type of scale. Okay, so positive value should have the highest value. Means strongly agree should be the highest one. For example, you're talking about employee motivation. You're asking a statement, positive statement. Then strongly agree should be 5. Okay. And if you are making a negative statement, for example, you're talking about employee grievances, and you're asking about negative question statements, then negative value, that means strongly disagree, should be 5. Strongly disagree should be 5. Is it okay? So this is this rule
Yes,
we call
sir.
as, yes, simple thumb rule, where in a set of questions, if you're asking, if you make a positive statement, positive value, that is strongly agrees positive, it should be 5. If it is a negative statement you're asking, strongly disagree should be the highest one. And very important thing is, when you are formulating a statement, set of statements as a factor, you must never have positive statements and negative statements combined as a group. Either you ask all positive or all negative, but never combined in the same factor. For example, last day I was seeing organization culture. Some scholar is asking some questions positive, some questions negative. As you need to do reverse coding, we call it as reverse coding. When we enter into SPSS, we do reverse coding for those things. Able to understand? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
these
sir.
are the practical things and fundamental things which we need to understand when we enter the data. And in the variable view, I'm discussing about measurement types. I'm discussing about nominal, ordinal, and scale data. So in the ordinal data, Likert scale is an ordinal data. There's no doubt in that. Ordinal data means which is having a sequence, like lower, higher. When you have some comparative is there, that is ordinal. So Likert scale is an ordinal. Why? Because we have comparative, strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree. This is a order. So it is an ordinal data we are going to say. And when you are making a statement, positive statement should have the highest one. Negative statement, negative value, that is negative, strongly disagree should be the highest one. And nominal data, categorical data, like gender, male and female. There is no difference between male and female. We cannot say male is higher or female is higher. So it is called as a nominal data. Even for specialization also, it is a nominal data. These things must be entered correctly. Why? Why? Because if you don't enter this measurement type correctly, then if we don't enter, we cannot do the parametric test or non-parametric test analysis. We'll be having a problem there. So you need to take precaution here. And this is very important in regression also. And not only regression, many analysis, this measurement type is going to play the important role. Two important things you must take care. You make all the data except the first coding. All data must be only in numerical values. This is the first precaution. Second precaution, have you classified this data into correct measurement types like nominal, ordinal, and scale data? After this basic discussion only, we can go ahead. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, the important point is going to come is after data type, measurement type, we need to discuss about distribution of the data. I think already Madam have discussed this one. Distribution means how the data is being distributed. We talk about outliers, data skewing, kurtosis. Do you think this is important or not? First of all, understanding data distribution is important or not important?
Important, sir.
It's very important, sir.
Yeah, compulsory, because like a doctor, for a doctor, and understanding patient is important before you prescribe a medicine for him. Before you identify a method for analysis, it is important that you understand the data. That's why we call data science. We call it as a data science. Why we call data science? Because you need to interpret the data in a right form. We need to check the data. It's a distribution, it's a mean, standard deviation, kurtosis, and skewness. And when you're doing this one, it should be done only for scale data, or nominal data also should be done?
Scale data.
Yes, please understand. For nominal data, don't bother about data distribution. We just only see how many males are there, how many females are there, and further we can discuss on that. But generally data distribution, when you call about standard deviation, data skewing, it is exclusively important only for scale data only. Even for ordinal data also, we don't do normal distribution. I've seen somewhere people taking mean for gender. Is it not a funny thing? Will gender have a mean? I'm not getting answer.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
I've seen this.
In the mean, we would know how many people
Funny
are
genders,
in the world.
where you have mean for gender, and you feel it is very funny, right? And same I feel
No,
funny
how
when
will it be funny? We will know how many male are there.
no, madam. How many male you must know? Frequency distribution, not not means and standard deviations. If you come to know how many male are there, how many female, that is enough. But we don't need to take the mean of the males and mean of the female, right? We only try to know the frequency, that is number of 100 members respondents. You want to know how many males are there, how many females are there. Why we take the mean of the gender? We don't take it.
Yeah, you may get 2.2, 2.5.
That's really a
as
funny
male.
thing. If you get 2.5, what it means? So please avoid those things. Don't take any mean for nominal data. Nominal data itself says categorical data, where we don't take any mean of that particular data. In the same way, I even feel funny when I see mean for even ordinal data. For example, you are taking an opinion, strongly disagree to strongly agree. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only should be. If someone is having 3.5, what it mean? Slightly he is more than satisfied. Is it anything we have slightly agreeing? No. Either you should agree, disagree, or strongly disagree, or neutral. So we must not actually, I'm talking to point strictly that for even ordinal data, we must not take mean and standard deviation. But I can show you n number of researches submitted to very famous universities also, where you have the standard deviation and mean for even ordinal data also. You must feel same funny as you're taking mean for gender. You take mean for ordinal data also, it is not correct. But no one is objecting that, and for many years it is getting published in the same way. So I request, when you do, if possible, avoid that funny things of taking the mean and standard deviation of ordinal data. Any questions anyone have here? Hello?
No, sir. No, thank you.
But why are seeing mean and standard deviation for ordinal data? Because we are going to take the, okay, I'll explain this point as we go, because we are actually spending more time on this measurement types. Okay, especially we must talk about scale data. For scale data only, we must check mean, standard deviation, and skewing, data skewing, and kurtosis. And what is normal distribution? When you say, many people knows this point, that they say, okay, data, if it is in a bell type of structure, it is called normal distribution. Now, when you take opinion, is it ordinal data normal distribution should be done or not? Hello?
No.
Why? We have respondents, 500 respondents have taken data, and because to do parametric test, we say data should be normal distributed. Then why we must not do normal distribution for that type of data, which is ordinal data, like at scale data? Why? Because when the sample size is very high, we have an assumption that the data distributes normally. So we don't have, I have searched for paper also. I'm looking for the paper where we have that citation to be writing. But as of now, I have not got. But generally, if the sample size is 500, 600, traditional universities have a thumb rule of 1000 sample size. We ask them why 1000 sample size. They say, no, it is thumb rule. So for the 1000 sample size, if the data is ordinal, we generally don't do normal distribution. We take assumption that data is normally distributed. Is it clear?
Central limit theorem.
Yeah, because if the sample size is like 500, 600, 700, generally, because it's opinion, in the opinion, data gets normal distribution. So we don't separately do normal distribution on ordinal data to confirm whether it is normally distributed or not, because generally opinions are skewed, either left side or right side. So we are not doing, actually, we are not doing any type of normal distribution for ordinal data. So we are doing this normality distribution only for scale data. So only for scale data only, we are doing normal distribution. Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
So clearly we said for nominal data, there's no point of even checking mean also. For ordinal data, actually we don't need, but we are knowing, we are trying to understand what is the majority opinion, average opinion, for that purpose that they are doing. And we don't need actually to check skewness and kurtosis for ordinal data when you have large sample. General large sample, more than 30 we call large sample, but 500, 600 for universities, what the PhD we are doing. For them, for if the data is ordinal, we are not doing any normal distribution. Directly, we are trying to come to an assumption that data is normal distributed. All the problem comes with the scale data only. When the data is scale or continuous, we must do normal distribution. Now, I have here a GPS score. This is scale data. I don't know whether the madam has shown you this process. Let me show in a very simple form how to check data normality when the data is scale data. Let us start the process. Can we start transaction?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's very simple. We go for analyze, and in analyze, we want to explore. We take the button analyze, descriptive statistics, explore. In explore, GPS score. So which scale data you want to check the normality? You select that data towards dependent list. Directly click options. Okay, plots. In plots, normality plot with a test. Okay, we will see histogram because we want that bell structure to be seen. So this is a simple thing. We need to check this button, normality plot with a test. Click continue and click OK. That's it. I have not done much settings. Simple setting I did. In the plot, I have selected normality plot with a test and click OK. That's it. Yes. Here, this is test of normality. Here you have two type of test, Kolmogorov-Smirnov test and Shapiro-Wilks. Shapiro-Wilks. Okay. Now you can see here this Kolmogorov-Smirnov test and Shapiro-Wilks, two tests. If the sample size is 30 and less than 30, you take about Shapiro-Wilks test. If the sample size is more than 30, large sample, Kolmogorov-Smirnov test. Our sample size is 105. You can see here, 105. So you must see Kolmogorov-Smirnov test. Now, can anyone comment? Is the data normally distributed or not?
Not normally distributed.
Why?
Why? Because this value is less than 0.05. P value is.
Okay. Why you are saying if it is less than 0.5, you must say data is not normally distributed?
Because value is 0.033, which is less than, because we have taken 5% level of significance, if I'm right.
Okay.
So in this case, null is rejected. So for this KS test, null is that data is normally distributed.
Data is normally distributed, you are saying data is not normally distributed.
Null is data is normally distributed for KS.
Okay.
So if our p value is less than 0.05, so we reject the null hypothesis.
Correct. Absolutely correct. So before we start this test, we have an assumption, null hypothesis, that data is normally distributed. We kept an assumption of the data of this GPS score that the data is normally distributed. At 95% confidence interval, 5% error, it should be less than 0.05. If it is less than 0.05, we reject the null hypothesis. So what is the meaning of rejecting null hypothesis? Means the data is not normally distributed. Is it fine? The same thing what you said, I repeated. So for the GPS score, we have an assumption that data is not normally distributed. Data is normally distributed.
Sir, which value we are comparing? Significance,
Yeah,
like
here you
point,
can
it is
see
greater less than 0.05.
Significant value.
Okay.
The significant
It should be greater than 0.05.
That's what our null hypothesis is. Data is normally distributed. Data is normally distributed. If it is less than 0.05, we are rejecting the null hypothesis.
ഞാൻ എക്സൽ ഫയലിലിട്ട് അത് എഡിറ്റ് ആക്കി വന്നപ്പോഴത്തേനും ഡിവൈസിലേക്ക് ഇതായില്ല, സേവ് ആയില്ല. അപ്പൊ അത് ഡിലീറ്റ് ലോഡ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുക. ഞാൻ അയക്കാട്ടോ.
I don't understand. So if it is less than 0.05, we are rejecting the null hypothesis, means data is not normally distributed. Is it okay? So in our case, for the GPS score, data is not normally distributed. And you can see this histogram. The histogram supports our conclusion. The histogram, the data is not normal. So it's not like a bell structure, right? You can see there is a peak here, parallel with the mean one. So mean is somewhere here, 2.78, and here we have something coming up. So the data is not normally distributed. Is it fine? Shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, in the same way, let us do for some other teaching method one also. Same thing I'm doing, descriptive statistics. We want to explore the data. Okay, let us take teaching method 1, marks, and again same thing like plots. I've already selected normality plot with tests and click OK.
So one
Here,
slide.
yeah, significant value is 0.000, which is less than 0.05 means data is not normally distributed. Is it okay? So if this significant value for Kolmogorov-Smirnov, if it is less than 0.05, that data is not normally distributed. You can see directly here. It is skewed towards right side, to one side.
So does it mean we can't perform parametric, sir?
Yeah, actually to the norms, must not do it. Taking to the norm assumption, you must not do. You must not do parametric test for this data. Is it fine? Now, can we make this data which is not normally distributed, can we make it normal distributed? This is what the scholars ask. Generally they ask, so can we make it normal distributed? Is there any solution anyone have?
Yeah, by removing the outliers, it's
Outliers.
See, outliers, understood. What you said is absolutely correct. When you have sample of, I did for something like this telecom services, so 20,000 sample size, that scholar brought 20,000. He is a Ukraine, some foreign country. So we can do that. But here you can see the sample size 105. So the scholar does not want to sacrifice any more data. So outliers should be removed, understood? That is correct, one of the method. But if the sample size is less, what can we do? Can we make the standardization of the data?
Sir, square root method or log 10 method for transforming the data?
Standardization. We call them the standardization.
Yes.
Data standardization. Okay. So one of the method general people follow without sacrificing any data further is standardization of data, but that helps only to some extent. When you do standardization of data, that helps only to some extent. Let me show you how we do that standardization. It's very simple method. Analyze descriptives. We take this teaching method, and here we have save standardized value as well. Oh, I've not selected it. The data is now standardized. Standardized is nothing but that mean will become zero. Mean becomes zero. That's what called standardization. You can see we got a separate variable which is called standardized Z. It indicates with the Z value. Now let us see normality of this. Let's see whether data became normal or not. No, nothing good we can see. Nothing good we can see here because the data is not normally distributed. Same type of, but better it has increased. Earlier it was flat totally. Some better we got, right?
Sir, can you please repeat it, sir?
Yeah. What I did is one of the method which we follow is we make the data normality. We make the data standardized, and we will check once again whether data became normal or not. Okay, there's only one of the option we have apart from eliminating or sacrificing the outliers. What are the outliers? If you remove that, that's okay. But if you don't have chance, the other method what we do is we do data standardization. Generally, in data in regression, moderation values, we take the standardized data only. Is it okay?
What option would you select for the standardization?
Sir, Habbi did it, sir.
Yeah.
Please do it one more time, sir.
Analyze.
How this Z score is calculated?
In analyze descriptive statistics. In this, descriptives. In descriptives, you must select the scale data which you want to standardize. For example, GPS score, I want to standardize it. Select it to right side and check this button, save standardized values as variable. Means a new variable will be created in your SPSS with a Z extension. We will have some Z value. Okay, if I say click OK, now if you see this data, you can see a new variable which is called Z.
Does it mean all analysis should be done based on this data now?
Yes. If you now check data, if it is normal distribution, something good happened, then you can use this one. Standardization, nothing. What the system does is it takes a mean as 0 now. For this variable Z GPS score, mean will be 0. Okay. Now go for analyze descriptives, and now let us explore once again to see whether any normality of data has happened. Select normality plot, click OK and OK. Nothing. We could not get much improvement. But this peak has reduced. Earlier it was very high. So this is one of the options we have when you want to do. If you don't want to sacrifice data with removing outliers, it's okay. You can do standardization, but it only helps to some level. Fine. So if the data is in scale data and data is normal, then only we are going to go for parametric tests. Is it fine?
Sir, when to apply method of removing outliers?
That's okay. If you have sample size very high, very good number you have, you can definitely remove the outliers.
Okay.
Sir, suppose if I standardize
How
the
it is
data.
done?
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Suppose if I standardize the data And when
Yeah.
I run the analysis with using the standardized data, when I'm writing the interpretation, do I have to
Yes.
write the standardized data was
Yes.
used, or
Yes.
should I use
Yes,
the raw?
yes. Yes, yes. You must use standardized data only.
While interpreting also?
Yes, yes.
And while writing the interpretation?
See, you are going to substitute with the original data with standardized data.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, only the difference between standardized data, original data. In original data, you'll have a mean of, like, for example, 2.5 or 2.7. But in standardized data, mean will be 0. Standard deviation will be 1.
Okay.
And that's a difference what you're going to get between
Sir,
original
how to
data and
remove the
standardized
outliers?
data. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So my doubt is, if some
Sir, how to remove the outliers?
You can, I think already before this basics they have taught you, right? In that they will discuss in basics only those things. Outliers, okay, I'll just show you. Wait, just a moment. Here, analyze. You go to descriptives. In descriptives, not only descriptive, explore also you can do it. Here you can go explore. I'll remove this one. You want to see for GPS score, plots.
Sir, screen is stagnant.
Just a moment,
The
just a moment.
screen
I'm
is
showing
not
you.
moving. It's
I'm showing you. For GPS score, I'm showing you. We don't have an outlier here. If you have an outlier, what happens? You can see the variable names here. Hello? Hello, can you follow
Yes,
me?
sir. Yes, sir.
In this plot,
Yes, sir.
in
Yes,
this
sir.
plot, what happens? Yeah, see here, in the data, you have record number, like student IDs are there, right? Can you see the student IDs here? For example, 40 is outlier. For example, I'm saying, you can see this number 40 in this chart. If I double click here, and after double clicking, you can take this button and click on the outlier. Then system shows what is that number which is outlier. Or else let me do with one data which is having outlier. Let me take some more data. Explore. Teaching method. I'm taking all different things. We don't have outliers yet. Yeah, you can see here, outlier. Teaching method 2, can you see this 8 number here? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Means
Yes, sir,
in
yes,
the
sir.
record, the 8th row is outlier. Able to understand what I'm saying? Outlier is nothing but odd one out, which is outperforming. Hello?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, in this data, you can see clearly, you can see here, for teaching method 2, you can see 8. 8 is a row number. 8 is here. When you go for here, what is 8? Okay, this is the 8. For teaching method 2, you can see this is outlier, because in the total data, system says this is this particular value is outlier. Teaching method 2,
Okay, sir.
variable 8th row is outlier, means you can go to the data, actual data. You can see this is teaching method 2. Row, what is the row number? 8. This is outlier. Means if you see the total,
7, 8, 9, 10, rest of the numbers.
if you see the total other values, there is no other value which is having 3 except this value. So comfortably you must go here and you must say clear. That's it. If I say clear, automatically that particular record will be eliminated from the analysis further. You can see this person, 8th person, is having very less score in all the methods. It's having 0, 3, 2. Maybe very low performing candidate. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, this is how we are going to do. Find the outliers and eliminate them from the further analysis. Okay, we'll go ahead. there's a lot of subject to be discussed actually here itself in data normality by seeing the skewness and kurtosis. I just show you one more point, maybe interesting for you. In descriptives, if you go to explore, and if you take GPS score and you say, okay, not only you require to see this test of normality, even by seeing the skewness and divide the skewness by its standard error. Okay, if you do this value also, you get, if you get between plus or minus 1.96 also, data is normally distributed. If it is outside that, we don't see the data normality. Are you able to understand what I'm saying?
Please repeat, sir.
Generally,
repeat, sir.
generally what we discuss is test of normality only we have seen, right?
Sir.
There is one more method also. What is the method is, we will take the statistic data, take the skewness. Here the value is how much the value? Minus 0. Let me calculate here for you. The value is 0.052 divided by 0.236. How much is the value? 0.22, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. If it is between plus or minus 1.96, data is not normally distributed. It should be outside that. In the same way, you can do for kurtosis also. 0.811 divided by 0.467. It is 1.7. It must be between plus or minus 1.96. If it is between plus or minus 1.96, then data is not normally distributed. It should be above. Is it okay?
So how to confirm the benchmark for normally distributed? That is 1.96 out, sir.
Yeah, because at 95%, that is 5% level of significance, the Z value, book value is 1.96.
Okay, sir. Not
Z
on the
value-
basis of number of sampling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The Z value is 1.96. Z value we call it. Z value.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, sir.
So that's why we are taken 1.96.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Is it okay? Right? Yeah. Means if you don't want to comment this with references, this is also simple method which we can follow, but by just seeing the skewness and its standard error. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
It should be between plus or minus 1.96 or above 1.96.
Above, madam, above, because now we already concluded that data is not normally distributed, right?
Yeah. Yes.
If it is
So it should be
not normally distributed,
if
above
I
it is
divide
normally distributed.
above 1.96.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, here it was it was 1.73, right? So it is between here the calculation
yeah, it should be
1.73.
above. I'm saying above.
Okay.
Above 1.96, data is not normally distributed. If it is between, it is not normally distributed.
Okay.
Is it fine?
If it is between, then it is not normal, right?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And next thing we are talking about hypothesis tests. And one important thing here, this is what I have faced when I went for medical college and some pharmaceutical college also I went for workshops. Hypothesis testing, when we always call alpha is 0.05 or 95%, right? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
alpha is 0.05. Why we are saying alpha is 0.05? Because at 95% confidence interval, significance level is 5%.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Significant 5 means what? The error must be less than 5%. Error must be less than 5%. In a sense, alpha, we are talking about type 1 errors only. The hypothesis testing we are doing with alpha with what? Type 1 error.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
But pharmaceutical college people, these medical college people are not using alpha, they are using beta value, which is called type 2 error.
Okay.
They are doing type 2 errors. They are doing with type 2 error, but not type 1 error. Because social science people are using type 1 error. Hypothesis testing, it should be clearly specified what type of hypothesis we are using. We are using type 1 error we are using. That is alpha value we are using. 95% confidence interval, 5% is a significant level. 5% is error. That is why error should be less than 5%. Okay? We call it as error is a type 1 error. So when you specify, but generally we don't see this one at all, because social science, they simply write alpha value is 0.05. If it is less than 0.05, reject the null hypothesis, but they don't specify why you're rejecting it if it is less than 0.05. Because social science, we always take alpha. What is alpha? Type 1 error means, can anyone say that?
We actually reject the hypothesis that has to be accepted.
True. We call rejecting. We always try to avoid. We always try to avoid the null hypothesis which is true. Rejecting the null hypothesis which is true. That we are minimizing. For example, you are starting a hotel. The hotel is actually success business, and you want to reject that business. That need to be avoided. So rejecting the null hypothesis, which is true, that is called type 1 error. And we always try to minimize type 1 error. We always try to minimize that type 1 error. Am I clear? So social science will be generally using type 1 errors only. Yeah.
Satish sir, it is also called as false positive or a false negative?
Positive, I think.
Okay, thank you.
I think because I don't have that other way of saying, but we call it as type 1 error. Means a null hypothesis which is a true, which you are rejecting, we want to minimize that. We want to minimize a null hypothesis which is a true, rejecting. We want to minimize that one. That is called alpha value. So when null hypothesis we are doing, you need to clearly specify that we are using alpha, which is type 1 error. We are trying to minimize rejecting the null hypothesis which is true. Medical people will write the reverse one. Is it okay? Social science people will make a hypothesis alpha is equal to 0.05 at 95% confidence interval. Can we go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Now, generally, this is also the second question which I get. Research scholar asked in a panel, in a defense, they have asked it since research defense. Why 95% you have taken? Why not 96% or 94%? Generally, medical people will take 99%, right? Medical and pharmaceutical people, they do research that 99% confidence interval, and we take 95%. So the panel people asked, why you are taking 95%? Why it is not 94% or 96%? Anyone have an answer by chance?
No, sir.
Never anyone got this question in any panel?
So social science phenomena is very much dynamic. So it is very difficult to
understood. Why it is 95%? Why it is not 94% and 96%? Why it is not 94% or 96%? Why always you're sticking to that word 94%, 95%?
Anything with standard deviation, two standard deviation or something?
No. This is a question, practical question which a scholar got, and after that thesis, she asked me, the panel has asked this question, sir. I could not answer. Why you have gone with all 95%? Why can't you go with 93%, 94%, 96, 97? Why always in the total research you are saying 95%, 95%? What is that magic number? Yeah, students. So the answer is very simple. For a long time, for even 1970 research paper you read also, they are using 95. It's called industrial norm. That's it. The industrial norm. For social science, industrial norm is 95%. For medical science, 99%. That's it. It started, some scholars
So
started.
please elaborate a little more, sir, about the industry
Yeah.
norm, sir.
Yeah. Hello? Hello?
So for
And
alpha,
expect
you
little more,
said 95% CI. So for beta,
Yes.
what is the inference?
That's what, madam. The 95% only. Why they are taking means it is a industry norm. That is a research norm. It is. That's it. We don't need to discuss on that.
No, my question is not that.
What is that question?
You said for alpha, the value is 0.05.
Correct.
Medical people do it in beta.
Yes, correct.
So what is the value for that?
They take it 99%, 1%, 0.01.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Medical people do it 99%. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Let's go ahead now. Till now, what we discussed is we discussed about type of data, measurement types. We discussed about distribution and why mean must not be taken for nominal data. Okay. And why we take mean standard deviation only for scale data. Normality test, Kolmogorov-Smirnov test. We use Kolmogorov-Smirnov test when the data sample size is more than 30. If less than 30, you must choose Shapiro-Wilks test. Okay. And we even discussed about in social science hypothesis testing, why we take, and statistical significances and confidence intervals. Now, actual point comes parametric and non-parametric methods. Okay. Parametric. If the data is a scale data and normally distributed, we use parametric test. If the data is not if the data is scale data but not normally distributed, we will be using non-parametric. Means for non-parametric data you can use nominal data, scale data, and even ordinal data and rank data also you can use. Is it okay? But for parametric we must use only scale data, and that too data must be normally distributed. Am I clear here? So first assumption is the data should be normal distributed. For non-parametric, there is no assumed shape or distribution. For parametric test, we are using only scale data. Non-parametric, we can use a range of data like ordinal data, nominal data, scale data, ranked data. For parametric, results can be significantly affected by the outliers. That's what you need to clean the outliers. For non-parametric, result cannot be seriously affected by the outliers. Parametric have more statistical power. That's correct. Non-parametric, it is not so powerful like parametric tests. So parametric we are using for scale data and that too normal distributed. Non-parametric you can use for other type of data. Any questions you have at this slide?
Yeah, what do you mean by statistical power, sir?
Yeah, statistical power in the sense accuracy of the data. For example, you are doing a medical test, right? You're using a parametric test. You can depend on the value perfectly. The deviation is very, very less. But non-parametric, we cannot depend. There is a deviation in the values.
Then for medical, can't we use non-parametric?
No. Medical, generally we don't use, because the results which we take, we have a very small sample data in medical sciences. For example, we are doing for a dentist. In the dentist, what we find is he have taken upper tooth and lower tooth. In this way, only 6 data he has, and he is doing with parametric test only. We don't use non-parametric for that. It does not mean we don't do, I mean, in the sense strictly not saying that we must not do it. Generally, we don't.
So for my PhD, I thought I will be using a lot of Likert scale, but now I come to know it is ordinal. So
Yes, madam.
I can
No,
only
no.
use
That's what I said.
non-parametric, right?
The beginning itself, I said, Likert scale, the sample size is more. You cannot. There's no need to do normality test. You can directly do parametric.
It's ordinal scale, right, sir? Likert scale. So we have to...
ordinal, but madam, there is something which we are following. That is, if the data sample size is more, even the data is ordinal also, we are doing parametric tests.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question. For social science PhDs or maybe management PhDs, is there any cutoff for the sample size to be taken?
No, we have sample size calculation formula is there. For example, your sample size data is 376, for example. Above that you can take, not below that.
No, for getting this non-parametric tests done, parametric test done. So in that case, is there any kind of rule or norm for social science or management people who are doing PhD to take how many will be the sample size?
No. Sample size formula is there. We can calculate with using sample size formula, but we don't have any limit.
Okay. Don't have any limit.
Generally, see, there is one thing, because I'm working for statistics for more than 10 years and did more than 200 PhDs also. Generally, there is something industry norm, the statistical norm. There is something which we are using. Okay. Able to understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Because statistically, there is a norm we must not use, but many cases we are doing. Like just now, madam asked, Likert scale. But are you doing parametric test? Means yes. But can you show that in the books? You're not able to show it.
Yes.
Because generally, if the Likert scale sample is more, we are using parametric test.
So when you say more means 370 above, is it?
Yes, madam. 300, 400.
Okay.
Generally in social science, we take sample size more than 378 only.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Now this is parametric test and non-parametric test. Parametric test, one sample, two independent sample t-test, PDT test, ANOVA, repeated ANOVA, two-way ANOVA. So many other type of tests are there. In non-parametric, we have Mann-White U test, Wilcoxon sign rank test, Kruskal-Wallis test, Fredman test, and many other tests are there. Even chi-square is one of the important non-parametric tests. Chi-square test. Okay, so I think it's already 1:15.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
We'll have a break here.
So may I have one question, small question, sir?
Yeah, because I got my schedule is actually from 11:40 to 1:10 only.
Yeah, sir. Here that chi-square is set for non-parametric, no, sir?
Yes. Chi-square is absolutely non-parametric.
Yes, sir. But in finance, we using scales, numeric values only, the financial ratios. Chi-square there also be in use, no, sir?
Chi-square, sir, that's what in the afternoon session we'll discuss. Chi-square, you must have both the data to be categorical. Nominal data only it should be.
But no. But financial ratios coming under even scales, no, sir?
It's wrong, sir. Then it's wrong.
Okay.
The test which you are doing is wrong.
Please explain me a little more, sir, on that. How we take it now.
We'll discuss, sir, in the next session when we start at 2 o'clock.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Then we'll discuss about parametric first. Next, we'll discuss about non-parametric.
Sir, have you sent this PPT to us, sir?
No, madam. This is, you can see, because it's very simple PPT, nothing.
Okay. This particular slide is very good. We will actually know which test to do.
If you like it, madam, you can take a screen print from your laptop.
Yeah, I've done it, sir. Yeah, thank you.
And save it.
Yes.
That's the easy way of going there. Sir, is it okay if I join at 2 o'clock? So we'll have at 2 o'clock. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. We'll break for lunch, participants. The next session starts at 2 o'clock. On
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.